Hello, this is a faction review for the card/board game Summoner Wars, and the faction I'm going to be looking at tactically is the Shadow Elf faction. They're the archetypal hit hard, hit fast, made out of glass side. They've got, I find them one of the most fun sides to play in the Master set. Their main advantages are their superb movement, both in distance and the amount of units that they can move a turn. They're generally quite high attack level. They've got varied champions, and their events are almost all really helpful. Their main weakness is their extremely fragile commons, and their champions aren't of the toughest type. I'm going to start with the summoner because he is your centerpiece. He's going to be the one unit that you will always be checking with, and often the summoners inform the start of the whole deck. After looking at the summoner, we're going to look at the commons. Even if you're a player who really plays just with champions, you're always going to have commons on the table at the start of the game, so they're still very valid. Then we'll look at champions, which are the real heavy hitters in Summoner Wars. Then check through the 4 events that are in the Shadow Elf deck, and finally a quick look at the setup, since you'll be doing that every game as well. I'm going to try and show you the cards, and then show you an example of perhaps where that card can really be used on the table. If you enjoy this video, please do let me know, because there are 6 factions in the Master set, and I'd be very interested in having a look at all of them, if there are people interested in hearing about them. I've only played the Master set factions, so I'm aware that the other factions, they all seem great, but I've yet to make the plunge and purchase them. So any tactics that I mention in this are really only in relation to the Shadow Elves, in relation to the other 5 factions in the Master set. And I don't know about any of the expanded decks further. So this is pure Master set tactics explanation. So let's look at the first unit, the summoner, Selundar. Okay, this is Selundar, the summoner of the Shadow Elves. As you can see, he's got 7 health points, which is a pretty decent health limit for a summoner. He's a ranged summoner and has 2 attack. Selundar isn't a front-line summoner. His real strength that comes from his Out of Shadows ability is in being able to take care of himself. The Shadow Elves can focus on attacking and not having to worry about defending their summoner, such as other factions may have to, thanks to Selundar's ability to jump up to 4 attack power, provided he doesn't start his turn adjacent to an enemy unit. Okay, now this shows the effectiveness of Selundar's abilities. Now, in a normal situation, Selundar would only have 2 attack against this hunter. Now, that means that the hunter is an average common with 2 hit points. That means you're going to have to roll a pretty good roll on 2 dice, which is usually difficult when your summoner's in difficulty, but of course, because this is a demonstration, I've rolled well. Now let's, for argument's sake, say that instead just one of those hit, which isn't that unlikely. That's 1 wound to the hunter, and that means 1 more turn of having an enemy stuck right in your summoner's face. Or you're going to have to attack it with another unit, which reduces your amount of attacks this turn. Now let's change that scenario, so instead this turn the hunter has started so that he's not adjacent to Selundar. Selundar can move up, and instead of only doing 2 dice, Selundar now has an attack of 4. Now this is a far more statistically likely thing, and as you can see there, a not exceptional roll of 3 hits has more than done the business, and now Selundar is perfectly safe, and it only cost you 1 of your 2 attacks this turn, thanks to his Out of Shadows ability. Well, that's the summoner dealt with. Now we're on to the commons. Just like all the other factions in the Master set, the Shadow Elves have 3 different commons: Swordsman, Rangers, and Scouts. Let's start with Swordsman, my favourite. Okay, this is the Swordsman, a common of the Shadow Elves. They have 1 health, they're a melee common with 2 attack, and they cost 1 magic point. Their special rule Swift means that when moving the Swordsman during your movement phase, you may move up to 1 additional space. These guys are one of my favourite commons in the entire Master set. At a cost of only 1 magic point for 2 attack, they are an absolute steal. They make fantastic enemy summoner assassins, dashing at a good distance thanks to their automatically increased movement and chipping away at the enemy king's health. Alternatively, they can be used to mow down enemy commons or put some serious hurt on champions. but don't expect them to stay alive if they don't kill whatever they attack, as 1 health is as weak as it gets. However, at only 1 cost, it's easy to summon more. Let's take a look at a clip now just to see how far the Swordsman can get thanks to a clever summon and their enhanced movement. Okay, this scenario is designed to show just how effective that simple swift rule on the Swordsman can be, just to give him that extra space of movement. Now in this scenario, a normal melee unit would not be able to reach the summoner. You can see that only 2 spaces wouldn't get in there, and likewise a ranged unit couldn't reach him either. So we will summon him here through a cost of only 1 magic point, and then in the movement phase we have our 3 movement. 1, 2, and 3. This puts him within striking range of Takula, the enemy summoner. Unfortunately, due to me underestimating just how much I can talk about Shadow Elves, this video is already running long. I will be splitting this tactical look at the Shadow Elf faction into several parts. The next part will deal with the Ranger and Scout commons, and then begin a look at the Shadow Elf champions. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please let me know by commenting. Thanks for watching, and best of luck in Atharia.